And are you refreshed? Good. Now what?
So in the last conversation, we were talking about, we were sharing about how Esther had her beliefs, and then you said that those beliefs were starting to come back to her when she had kind of opened herself up to the idea of, hey, if I've got this limiting belief.
It was so startling to her that something so logically now unbelievable she had believed. It got her attention. It made her realize that the potential for having carried forward other misassumptions was high. Assumptions of limitations, or assumptions of I should do such and such because, and on and on.
Then she came to the conclusion of, when she had that realization, the conclusion of releasing those beliefs. And I'd like to talk a little bit more about
a willingness to move forward into the new rather than bringing forward. For example, she and Jerry built several beautiful buildings on the Abraham Hicks Publications property, and one of them is a house. It was a house that had come together over lots of ideas, and it's just a beautiful house. But now it's out on that property, and it's on 40 acres. There aren't neighbors nearby, which was perfect when the two of them were nestled in there together, but it's less perfect now that it's just Esther and the raccoons. But the belief that she kept bringing forward was, but wait, this is our dream house, I should stay in it, when really there is a better situation for her given what she is now wanting. Beliefs such as, well, we planned for this, I should live the plan, or it was our dream house, I should live the dream, or I wouldn't want to hurt Jerry's feelings by moving out of what he had planned for me. Dumb things like that. Yeah.
So it's not so much releasing the old belief, but more moving towards
the new and amended, never-ending, changing beliefs. Really, there are so many things you used to do that you now don't do.
I've got a bunch of those.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
That's why I didn't want to watch them. I guess my question is how to move on from
by
that.
not entertaining yourself and others so much with old stories. You know what the biggest culprit is in that? Is trying to get people to get you by explaining how you came to a conclusion. It's like you've started to believe your own flawed premise that it takes pain to have gain. Once you have accomplished an understanding about something, then sometimes you feel obligated to hold right to that understanding forevermore rather than to allow it to evolve. As a civilization, you keep making monuments of horrible experiences and then dragging your children to the exhibits. And then you tell them flawed premises such as, if you don't continue to examine history, then you are sure to repeat it. And we say the opposite is true. A continual re-examining of unwanted historical things holds it in your vibration and makes it sure you put some of it in your now. It's just the way law of attraction works.
Is there any benefit to talking yourself out of?
Maybe. You can feel it as it happens. Esther's friend talked to her. Esther, that doesn't make any sense. What? But I did it. The tree stumps are right there. Can't you see with your own eyes what I've done? Esther, where's the debris? Oh yeah. Why isn't the hillside all torn up? Oh yeah. How'd they do that in 3 hours? Oh yeah. So sometimes by examining it, but you see, she had introduced a new loving energy, like our friend's partner believed he would be in the hot seat, and she infused that subject with her belief, which did affect his receptive mode. Just be aware, rather than trying to talk yourself out of something, that you're trying to talk yourself into something. It's that distinction. How satisfying is this subject? It really is like that.
So sometimes I try to, when I hit upon that, this is a not satisfying topic, or this is not satisfying train of thought. Sometimes I will say, okay, what does my inner being have to say about this?
Well, that's fine, except that when you've already connected yourself to that receptive mode, you can't hear that receptive mode. So when you hit something that matters that head on, you don't get a result, and then you feel like you're not good at it. It's like here in San Francisco, standing at the top of a hill with your car. You take your car out of gear, you release the brake, and you want to just see what happened if you just nudge it a little bit. Well, there's a good likelihood it's going to end up down there in the bay. So you say, well, let's just see. And so you nudge it a little bit, and then you say, wait, I'm pretty sure it's going to end up down there in the bay. So you stand in front of it, and it just bumps you a little, and it stops because there wasn't much momentum, so it was easy to stop. But you wouldn't want to be down there at the bottom of the hill stopping that car. So it's about catching it in the early stages, and if you can't, change the subject. If it's already got momentum, do your best to change the subject. Well, sometimes with momentum, you can't change the subject, so you need a nap. When you go to sleep, you'll feel differently tomorrow. You could meditate. You could get a lobotomy. There are lots of choices.
With regard to meditation, can you give me some pointers on how to better quiet my mind?
The most important thing is to not beat up on yourself if you don't do that easily, because you've trained your mind to be responsive, and so now you're all of a sudden asking your mind not to be active, and you're also asking it to ignore law of attraction, and so both of those are sort of working against your intention right here. But when you say something soft to yourself, such as, I'm just wanting to slow things down a little bit and just give myself a little respite, and you realize that if you are able to quiet your mind, if you're able to stop the thought, you'll stop resistance and your vibration will rise, then you've got good reason to want to do that. But what we've noticed is you can't stop thinking about something that you've decided to stop thinking about, because now you're thinking about that thing you don't want to think about. And you've seen that happen. The more you decide you're not going to do something, the more you do it. It's just vibrational universal response. That's what law of attraction brings to you. So what we have offered, and we've noticed a lot of effectiveness with it, is if you can find something to think about. So that's why we say pick something. Sometimes you can listen to meditative music. Maybe that's good for you. Esther has done that. We created a meditation CD. And the reason that it was effective is because it has an odd breathing cadence to it. It's 5 breaths in and 3 long breaths out, and the time in and the time out are not the same, so you have to focus because it's weird. But to accomplish syncing with the music that's playing, you have to focus on something that you haven't focused on before, which means you got to pay attention to something here, and when you pay attention to it, in time you find yourself in cadence with the rhythm of the music. And then in the background we are speaking to you. Depends on which one you've chosen. There are different subjects. We are speaking absolutely vibrationally accurate phrases to you. So if you manage to sync your breathing with the rhythm of the music, and it's subtle, it's not obvious, it's not in, out, in, it's not like that. It's subtle. You have to focus, but once you accomplish it, you can get into that quieted mind, and then the words that we are speaking to you, that you are hearing, can actually change your point of attraction on those subjects. However, equally effective in terms of quieting the mind is to listen. You hear it? And you're not thinking, I've heard better. Kind of hard to be dissatisfied about that, because it's kind of a nothing. It's also boring. And your mind doesn't want to be bored. And whatever you were thinking about when you sat down, you're probably still thinking about, unless you're remembering what your intention is. So you listen, close your eyes. It makes it easier. Listen. Your mind's going to wander, but focus again and focus again. Just focus on that nothing sound. And before you know it, you're sort of drifting. Your thoughts have slowed way, 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 way down. And that's so good, because when your human thoughts slow down, you have more access to your inner being thoughts. But your inner being thoughts aren't thoughts. Your inner being is not offering you thoughts. Your inner being is offering you a vibration. That's why you're not getting messages from God right away. You're just feeling. Esther felt detachment. Her first meditation, she had been encouraged to just focus on her own breathing, and right away she felt sort of numb, a detachment. Within 5 minutes she couldn't tell her nose from her foot. She just felt sort of detached. Well, that's what you're reaching for, detachment from anything that might be in your way. And it's easier to assume all of it's in your way than to try to sort it out. That's the point of meditation. Because if you try to sort it out, this isn't in my way, and this is, and this isn't in my way, and this is, and this isn't in my way, pretty soon your 20 minutes is over and you've just got piles of stuff around you, and you're back in that judgment mode of good and bad and good and bad, where just let it all go for a minute. Let it all go and let your vibration rise. Powerful process. Good?
Yes, thank you.
Good.